Thank you for joining us at the Thyroid Gut Connection seminar. Did you know that 90% of women who have thyroid problems are taking thyroid medications but still continue to have symptoms? Today, we're going to be discussing the thyroid, and we're going to be answering the question of why this happens. As we go through this seminar, we'd love to have you think of any questions you might have. And if they're not answered during the presentation, write them down so we can discuss them later. We're really hoping today to be able to show you something that your doctor should have already shown you that will hopefully help you get some answers to the questions that might be bothering you. Our goal today is to help you understand your thyroid condition. Knowledge is power, and we'd like to help empower you with the knowledge about how your body works. If you decide that you're willing, we're going to give you an opportunity to take action and be able to address these issues and hopefully get the resolution that you may have been looking for a very long time. Let's get started. If you have thyroid disease, you are not alone. Thyroid disease is not only one of the most common chronic conditions, but it's also a leading cause of other chronic diseases. 20 million people in the United States suffer from thyroid conditions. 60% of those people are unaware that they even have a thyroid condition. 1 out of 8 women will develop a thyroid condition during their lifetime. Women are actually 5 to 8 times more likely to develop a thyroid condition than men are. Over 90% of thyroid sufferers are autoimmune in nature. Thyroid conditions are also an underlying cause of many other chronic illnesses, as we'll discuss later. We have a saying here at this clinic, and it is, if nothing changes, then nothing changes, both for the doctor and for the patient. What we mean by that is that so many patients get caught up in the cycle of never-ending medical intervention. What happens usually is the patient goes to a doctor because they have some symptom. The doctor performs some labs, and the labs may change, but the symptoms stay the same, even after their prescribed medication. The problem continues to get worse, and so increasing dosages or increasing types of medication are added by the doctor, and the patient still doesn't get relief and still doesn't feel better, until eventually they're told there's nothing else the doctor can do, and they'll just have to live with it. Now, even though this is a common situation, it is possible to get out of this cycle, and that's what we're going to talk about today. This picture comes from an article in a business magazine. It's called Epidemic. It's an artistic representation of our current medical standard of care. It's pretty clear what's going on here. For every symptom, what do we have? Well, we have a medication for it. What we have is a medical system that is fundamentally a reactive system, not a proactive system. It never looks at the underlying causes of the problems. All it does is medicate the symptoms. That's like trying to get rid of smoke without putting out the fire that's causing the smoke. Your doctor has decided to take a different approach to your thyroid problem. We also have an insurance crisis. Our country's health is going in one direction, and insurance coverage is going in the other. We've been bombarded with an epidemic of chronic illnesses, and there is no medication or surgery that will correct a chronic condition, yet these are what insurance covers. Of course, patients are pulled in this direction. Our healthcare system was originally built off of the acute care model. What that means is that if you break your arm, get the flu, or have a near-death emergency, it's great at fixing those, but what it's not so good at is treating chronic conditions. Thyroid conditions are an example of a chronic condition, and that's what we specialize in, where the conventional medical system leaves a lot to be desired. A huge contributor to the current healthcare crisis is that 75% of all doctor visits are patients who are coming in for chronic metabolic conditions. These chronic metabolic conditions include thyroid disease and its byproducts, like autoimmune disease, heart disease, hormonal imbalances, prediabetes, and diabetes. The problem we have with treating metabolic conditions is that we rely on drugs to try to fix the problem. But this is an acute care approach, which means emergency care. Metabolic conditions are chronic conditions. As such, they require a systematic approach to correct. It doesn't make much sense to try to get rid of the smoke without putting out the fire. For example, a diabetic might take medications to control their lab numbers, but really there are 2 or 3 things that are causing their blood sugars to go up in the first place. Wouldn't it make more sense to address the root causes and bring their lab numbers down through lifestyle changes? Another example, someone with a slight plaque buildup in their arteries is put on aspirin every day to thin their blood so the blood flows through the heart better, with no instructions on how to get rid of the plaque or avoid it in the first place. The same goes for the thyroid. A lot of doctors are very quick to prescribe medications. Sometimes they act as though there could be no possible negative side effects or downsides to using these medications. We all know that that is just not true. If you've ever taken prescription drugs, you know that they do have side effects. Every drug has side effects. These are some common negative side effects of typical medications that are prescribed for thyroid conditions. The most common one is Synthroid, or levothyroxine, which you might even be taking. Negative side effects can include irregular heartbeat, chest pain, fatigue, even hair loss, diarrhea, excessive sweating, vomiting, and sleepiness. Everybody's situation is different. In some cases, medications may be your best option for the time being, but it's not always the case. Sometimes there are other options that will actually help you feel better rather than just altering your labs to make them look good. By the way, this isn't your doctor's fault. They care about you just as much as we do. It's not the doctor, it's the system itself, and it pushes everybody, doctors and patients included, down the path of treating chronic disease with an acute care approach. Take a look at this next video regarding our healthcare system when it comes to creating health. This is why we've chosen to look at it from a different angle.
The American healthcare system is badly broken.
The present system doesn't work, and it's going to take us down. We need a whole new kind of medicine.
We're in the grip of a very big industry, and it doesn't want to stop making money.
If I spend 5 minutes with you and then put in one of these stents, I probably get paid $1,500. For me to spend 45 minutes with the patient to try to figure out what their true problem is, probably get paid $15. It's a completely irrational system.
We don't have a healthcare system in this country. We have a disease management system.
We're spending almost twice as much in America as any other country on earth, but our lifespan isn't even in the top 20.
30,000 Medicare recipients die each year from care they didn't need. That's the equivalent of a jumbo jet crashing every single week. If the aviation industry killed as many people, we'd be up in arms.
The administration pays you based on how many patients you see. All right, who's next? If you try and buck the system, someone says, what can we do to get your productivity up? I'm not interested in getting my productivity up. I'm interested in helping patients.
We're seeing the military just being a microcosm of the problems society's having.
Soldiers' use of prescription drugs has tripled in the past 5 years.
Yeah. Medications I was on.
Only by accepting that the American healthcare system is badly broken will we be able to seek out the escape fires, the potential solutions. There are answers.
One company has figured out how to lower healthcare costs by more than 40%.
We provide incentives for people to engage in healthier behaviors.
The Army Surgeon General directed that we establish the Pain Management Task Force to take a look at alternatives to narcotics.
I was skeptical, so skeptical.
I've gotten a lot of inspiration, a different perspective. There's a different way of doing things that is possible.
If I think about what healthcare could be like, it would have a lot more care in it.
The healthcare system is unsustainable. We're really mortgaging the future. It's not just the health of healthcare, it's about the health of the nation.
Of course, thyroid symptoms are just part of the problem. The World Health Organization actually recently said that 90% of all diseases today are not treatable with orthodox medicine. Let that sink in for a minute. That includes thyroid conditions, diabetes, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, acid reflux, digestive problems, just to name a few. These are all conditions that we want to help people with, because we get a lot of patients who come to us feeling really frustrated that they've been told they have to take this medication every day for the rest of their lives, and there's just nothing else they can do. The medication is not fixing the underlying problem, so they're going to become dependent on the medication for the rest of their life. If we can address the underlying problem, which many times you can, we can remove that dependence on the medication. That's what we want for all of our patients, and that's what we want for you. We're not going to be prescribing medication to you, and we're not going to be taking you off of medication unless your doctor has the license to do so. However, if you remove the root cause of a condition, you remove the need for medication. If we can do that for your condition, we can work with your doctor to hopefully get you off some of the medications you might be on. So what are some of the common symptoms of thyroid conditions? Some of us may be at different stages of severity, so if you're experiencing any of these, just know that you are not alone. We always like to think of symptoms as our body's warning sign. Thyroid problems many times produce thinning hair or even brittle hair. You might feel tired or sluggish all the time, just not having the energy that you're used to, and feeling fatigued very easily after things that you might not think would make you tired, but they do. Bowel difficulties are a big one. Commonly, patients come in suffering from both constipation and diarrhea. More commonly, constipation, but we see both. Remember that these are just indicators that the thyroid is not working properly. Many times we completely ignore the gut or digestive system, but it's one of the main things that's connected with this problem, which we'll explain later. Commonly, some will experience morning headaches. They might come in the morning and vary for how long they stick around. Headaches can interrupt your day in many different ways, with work, taking care of your family, and limiting your abilities throughout the day. Sometimes we just get used to them and keep taking a variety of headache medications, which in the long run is creating a bigger gut issue, which we'll discuss later. Weight gain. This is one of the biggest reasons why most thyroid sufferers are looking for a better solution. You feel that you're working hard in the gym, eating right, but still don't have any results. Most of you in this situation that have been struggling with weight gain for years, it doesn't matter what you try. The weight just won't come off, and the results are hard to come by. Rest assured, your body is doing exactly what it's supposed to do. It's holding on to fat because your hormones are out of balance. Cold hands and feet. Sometimes it's just really hard to stay warm. This can come and go sometimes, but eventually it becomes more common, and it sometimes ends up leaving you uncomfortable all the time, even in normal climates. Let's talk about some of the emotional symptoms. These are really hard sometimes. We want to feel good, but we just know that something is getting in the way, but we're not sure what. The one thing that's really frustrating are hot flashes. Increasing your body temperature at the spur of the moment isn't the most comfortable thing to have happen. Yes, it is hormonal, but the thyroid regulates a lot of your hormones, so commonly the thyroid has a big role in hot flashes. Mood swings. This is a big frustration. Sometimes we're feeling emotional and we're not really sure where it's coming from. It might be affecting your relationships with your spouse, kids, friends, coworkers. There is nothing more frustrating than not truly understanding why this is happening. Most of us like to keep calm with the people that are close to us in our lives, and when our hormones get out of balance, it's hard to do so. You are not alone in this. Nervousness or emotional anxiety are also, again, very common symptoms that show up when the thyroid's out of balance. And finally, insomnia and trouble sleeping, especially trouble going to sleep. Maybe you can fall asleep, but then you wake up 2 or 3 hours later just feeling anxious. Your mind is racing, or you're really frustrated and you can't go back to sleep. Understand that this is not your fault. It's your body reacting to its metabolic imbalances. This is a function of your thyroid and your adrenal glands affecting your blood sugars. If you're having these symptoms and you're not sure why, this really could be a sign that your thyroid is out of balance, even if you're taking thyroid medication. Lastly, night sweats. Night sweats are common even when taking thyroid medications. Your body's ability to regulate your temperature is off, and you may wake up burning up, then cold, then hot again, interrupting your sleep. This is very common when your thyroid is out of balance. Let's switch directions for a minute. Did you know that we treat our bodies worse than we treat our cars? Let me ask you a question. If your check engine light came on in the car, what would you do? Well, you'd probably take it to a mechanic. Then they would pinpoint the internal problem and fix it, and the light would go off because the internal problem had been fixed. What if I were to tell you that the last time my check engine light came on, I just drove it to a mechanic and asked him to reset the light for me so it didn't bother me anymore? That isn't logical, is it? Well, that's exactly what we are doing with our thyroid conditions. We take medications so that the symptoms go away, and we trick our body into allowing our labs to look normal. But there is no medication that can improve your overall health by synthetically altering your labs. There's an underlying cause to why your thyroid is imbalanced in the first place. We have to start thinking outside the medication box to become healthy. The next time you have any of these symptoms, you feel fatigued, tired, or sluggish, you struggle with weight gain or obesity, your hormones are imbalanced, your hair is thinning or you're losing hair, you've got digestive problems, you're having mood swings or feeling depressed, you have unexplained high cholesterol, you feel you're aging faster than you should, you've got dark circles around the eyes, relationship challenges, and your work and life is being affected, this is your body's check engine light coming on. If you choose to reach into your glove compartment and just pull out a piece of tape or a bandage and put it over the check engine light and cover it up, What's going to happen? Well, the symptom is going to go away for now, but the internal problem is going to grow and grow some more, and then finally lead to a breakdown. This is what we do with our health. There is a time and a place for medication. We have to work, we have to enjoy life, but putting a Band-Aid on our symptoms long term is going to get us into a situation where there's a point of no return. Eventually, the dosages will get maxed out. Your body will not work in sync, and your condition will no longer be controllable. In order to break out of the cycle of the conventional medical system, we have to think outside the box. The good news is that you already think more like a wellness doctor than you might even realize. The type of care we're offering you is still healthcare, but we focus more on the health part and not the disease. It's called wellness care. Some people also call it functional medicine. The main difference between the type of care we practice here and the type of care you'll find in the conventional medical system is that we're actually looking for the underlying causes of the condition rather than looking for medications to simply cover up the symptoms. If the car analogy with the check engine light made sense to you and you understood it, I'm happy to say that we're on the same page. Imagine for a minute that you have a plant and you see that your plant is wilting. What might you do to help the plant get healthy again? Well, you might think it needs something like water, or maybe it needs more sunlight, or maybe it even needs some nutrients like fertilizer. And then there's some other things to think about when we see a wilting plant. Maybe if adding something to it doesn't work, well, maybe the plant has some bugs on it, or maybe it has some bad soil with some toxins in it that might be causing it to be unhealthy. This is exactly the way a wellness doctor thinks. We like to give the body all the things it needs, and then the body knows exactly how to correct itself. The problem is we don't always think about it the same way when we see a sick person. Both a sick person and a sick plant require specific things to function properly. They both need to have clean food and nutrients, and both the plant's body and the human body have a lifespan that will be cut short if they're not taken care of properly. In this day and age, people use Google to self-diagnose themselves as to what medication they should be taking. You might see commercials on TV telling you one thing, Google telling you another, and your doctor's telling you that you're fine because your labs are normal, leaving you just feeling frustrated, knowing that something's wrong because you don't feel right. Commonly, you're even on medications when this is happening. We'd like to help you understand today why this is. Our goal today is to get you familiar with what the thyroid's responsibilities are within your body and why you could have normal lab tests, be taking medications, and still be suffering from the ongoing symptoms we just discussed. So, what does the thyroid actually do? Your thyroid is crucial to your metabolic health. It regulates and communicates with every cell and tissue in your body. Let me explain. One thing the thyroid helps with is bone density. We've all heard of people having problems with their joints, like osteoporosis, right? Well, the thyroid supports the body's calcium balance by allowing the parathyroid glands to function properly. When the thyroid can't function properly, the bones start to be deprived of nutrients. The thyroid is directly interconnected with the immune system. When someone's weak, tired, or just gets sick, they have an immune system problem. When the thyroid has lower function, the body slowly starts to operate at a slower state, allowing the body to have a hard time recuperating like it normally should. If the thyroid would have a best friend, it would be the gastrointestinal system, aka the gut. The majority of the immune system is controlled in the gut. Normally, when you have a thyroid problem, you also have a gut problem, which then causes an immune system problem, which eventually turns into an autoimmune problem. For over 90% of thyroid sufferers, their problems start right here, which we'll dive into deeper later. This leads into our next point. More and more research is showing that thyroid problems can have short-term and long-term effects on the brain and nervous system, from brain fog, lack of attentiveness, to longer-term effects like dementia, Parkinson's, and Alzheimer's disease. The thyroid, gut, and brain are all interconnected to maintain a healthy life. The thyroid communicates with everything, while the brain communicates with the gut, which keeps a healthy immune system protecting us from the breakdown of our bodies, which keeps our cognitive abilities sharp. Interconnected to our digestive system are the liver and the gallbladder. Commonly, we see patients with a significant increased chance of having their gallbladder removed with thyroid problems, and that's including the ones who are on medications. The liver plays a key role in our metabolic system, but first, the thyroid must function properly. Commonly, along with thyroid problems come a host of imbalances with growth hormones and sex hormones. When you feel sapped of your energy, sex drive, and libido, this is the culprit. It can be really frustrating sometimes. Your motivation to do the things that are good for you, like go to the gym, stay active, or even keep an encouraging relationship with your partner, can really be sabotaged by thyroid problems. The thyroid is directly responsible for fat burning and fat storing. Commonly, our patients have tried fad diets, weight loss plans. They might even be going to the gym 5 to 7 times a week. They're joining boot camps, but they still can't lose weight. When the thyroid can't regulate the fat burning and fat storing hormones, the body stays in a survival mode, holding on to the weight no matter what you do. Fixing this can fix all of your weight problems. Going back to the thyroid, liver, and gut, they work in harmony, protecting the adrenal glands, cortisol levels, and the pancreas and insulin and glucose metabolism. If the thyroid problem is left for a very long time, the body starts to have difficulties handling sugar properly, and that can lead to prediabetes or even diabetes, thus feeding into the 75% of all doctor visits from chronic illnesses. Lastly, when someone has thyroid problems, in addition to blood sugar issues, we often see elevated cholesterol. You can see that the thyroid is such a delicate organ, and it's a master system in our body. It's interconnected with an abundance of the body's functions, and our health is at risk when we're not working with the body to correct the problem. Medications only correct the number, but not the underlying function. We see patients come into our clinic on medications for thyroid, diabetes, cholesterol, headaches, digestive conditions, weight loss, energy, emotional, and anxiety concerns, when a lot of these problems are coming from the same underlying issues. It's frustrating because you might feel that you're heading down a hill at very high speed, and eventually there's going to be a crash landing. The more medications you add, never addressing the root cause of the problem, things are just going to get worse and worse. Let's get back into somewhat of a technical explanation so you understand how we're going to get your vitality back. The thyroid does not just stop working for no reason. There are many types of stressors that we encounter throughout our life, along with poor health choices, that allow our bodies to start getting out of balance. One culprit is cortisol, the stress hormone that's produced when our bodies are overworked, overstressed, mentally from life variables, physically from long hours at work or running around with our kids, or even chemically from the things we put into our bodies. These things drive cortisol to dangerous levels, allowing our adrenal glands to get fatigued, affecting our energy, and causing our thyroid hormones to shut down. This is in every physiology book that every doctor has to study, but the only difference is that one doctor will choose to correct this cycle through lifestyle versus medications. Remember, medications only alter your lab numbers synthetically by tricking the body, which causes more problems in the long run. It's stress on the thyroid that is breaking this natural process of a healthy, functioning thyroid down, and it's not normal. To make the untold story of the thyroid as simple as possible, your thyroid hormones act as the master messengers of the body. That's how the thyroid affects so many functions of your body, as we talked about earlier. There are 2 types of hormones your thyroid produces, active and inactive. The inactive hormone is T4, and the active is T3. You can guess which one we need. You're correct, the active T3. You would think that our body would produce exactly what we need to function, but that's not exactly the case. Let me give you an analogy. Think of T4 as the same thing as crude oil, and T3 as gasoline. Which one does your car need to run? Well, you guessed correct, gasoline. But here's the thing. The thyroid produces 95% inactive T4 that needs to be converted into active T3. Our body only initially produces about 5% T3, the rest is T4. From that 95%, through proper healthy bodily functions, your body should be able to convert about 60% of the inactive T4 to T3 in the liver, 20% into T3 in the peripheral tissues, and another 20% actually gets converted into free T3 in the gut. Some percentage of the thyroid hormones will also be converted into something called inactive reverse T3, which is an unusable form of T3, so the body doesn't end up with an excess of T4, which could be dangerous to your heart. The most common condition thyroid sufferers are diagnosed with is hypothyroidism, and they're given Synthroid, Cytomel, Armour Thyroid, and other hypothyroid medications. The truth is that under 10% of these people are actually suffering from true hypothyroidism, but they're still taking these thyroid-altering drugs. Over 90% of patients suffering from these symptoms are actually suffering from an autoimmune condition, also called Hashimoto's or Graves' disease. All of these types of patients are still taking thyroid-altering medications, but they are not addressing the underlying cause of the problem. Autoimmunity is where the body starts to attack its own thyroid, in turn altering the thyroid's function. Taking thyroid medication does not address the autoimmune problem. It just forces the lab numbers to overpower the underlying cause. If left for long periods of time, the autoimmune condition continues to grow and start attacking other parts of the body, like the brain, causing cognitive issues such as brain fog, and even long-term effects like Alzheimer's and dementia. The bones and joints causing things like osteoporosis, and the gut causing digestive problems and long-term conditions like Crohn's disease. So looking at the root cause is the only option. You may have been taking medications for years. You may have been taking them for only a short period of time, or you might be here to avoid starting that cycle at all. Regardless of your situation, and regardless of how burnt out your thyroid may be, the underlying issue has to be addressed to avoid long-term effects of the autoimmune condition. By addressing the number one cause of autoimmunity, which is leaky gut, we'll start to address the true root cause of all thyroid disturbances, hormonal imbalances, weight gain, mood and cognitive decline, sex drive, and chronic illnesses derived from blood sugar and cholesterol challenges. To become healthier, happier, and slimmer at any age, it starts with the gut. Let's dive in. Everywhere you turn, people are talking about leaky gut. It's gained a lot of attention lately for several reasons. But to understand where the term leaky gut comes from, we must first understand the architecture of the intestinal tract. We have these structures called villi sticking up. They're finger-like projections, and then we also have crypts that are going down. These are the normal structures in all of our guts. When the architecture of the intestinal tract gets damaged, we have a serious problem. When the gut gets inflamed from pathogens, inflammatory food, or from the stress that we're all under, the villi are destroyed or blunted, and nutrient absorption starts to falter. The crypts get deeper and deeper, and usually we have infections that are very deep inside these crypts. The space between the cells gets overly large, and then we develop leaky gut. Those are the three architectural changes that happen when the gut is inflamed. When we say leaky gut, we're talking about villi atrophy, increased intestinal crypt depth, as well as the space between the cells getting larger. Every organ, tissue, and cell is fed by your gut, including your thyroid. When one uses the term gut, they're talking about the small intestines. The gut is the central component in every single health complaint. When we're thinking about the gut and gastrointestinal tract getting out of balance, it's because of two primary problems. If we correct both of these problems, we're going to correct the gastrointestinal tract. The two primary problems are food and pathogens. Getting the inflammatory foods out of our diet, such as gluten, dairy, and sugar, and getting the pathogens out of the body as well, such as yeast, bacteria, and parasites, this is what it takes to truly get your gut healed and digestion working properly. If the person is infection-free and they're eating anti-inflammatory foods regularly, their gut is going to repair itself, and then you're going to see everything respond. You will see the thyroid respond, anxiety and depression will improve, fatigue and joint pain will improve, weight gain and digestive issues. Everything's going to improve by addressing the gut. Emotional stress is the number one driver for elevating cortisol. And when your cortisol goes up, we become catabolic, meaning we're breaking down tissue. You're going to be breaking down lean muscle mass in the gut lining tissue. Everyone who is emotionally stressed is creating a leaky gut. You don't have to have parasites or gluten intolerance to develop a leaky gut. Just being stressed is going to make you catabolic. When you're breaking down your gut lining, you need amino acids like glutamine because you're using those amino acids for fuel. That's what catabolic means, tissue breakdown. Mucosal membranes are the interface between the external environment and the internal environment of the body. This is how we absorb nutrients, and unfortunately, it's also how we absorb toxins. Most pathogens get into the body by binding and penetrating the mucosal membranes. If your mucosal membranes in your digestive tract are weak, you're going to absorb toxins at greater rates than you should. Pathogens are also going to get in, and that's going to cause digestive problems from all the pathogens and liver issues from all the toxins. So as this continues to happen, the gut gets more and more damaged. The villi construction becomes impaired, so they're partially damaged all the time. Now the individual has villi atrophy, which is very similar to a Berber carpet instead of a shag carpet, or cut grass as opposed to long. Clearly, that's going to cause malabsorption. The reason we have these villi in the first place is to increase the surface area for absorption of nutrients. If the structure of the villi is damaged, they're not going to absorb nutrients as well, and they will be excessively absorbing toxins. Because the mucosal barrier is failing, nutrients don't get in, but toxins do. So as this continues to happen, the gut gets more and more damaged. The villi construction becomes impaired, so they're damaged too. Now the individual has villi atrophy. It's like a Berber carpet instead of a shag carpet, or cut grass as opposed to long. There's going to be malabsorption. The person becomes nutrient deficient. They're not absorbing enough nutrients, and they're going to be excessively absorbing toxins. Because the mucosal barrier is failing, nutrients don't get in, but toxins do. In turn, the body starts to attack the thyroid and eventually all of the other systems of the body. So when we're dealing with weight problems, fatigue, emotional challenges, thinning hair, hot flashes, headaches, digestive problems, cold hands and feet, and we're depending on medications to fix these problems, we have to start thinking about other options that will address the underlying cause. What are your choices in the conventional medical system? Well, you could go to your primary doctor and get some drugs to mask the symptoms, or you could get referred to your specialist and get more medications. The medications don't necessarily change with the specialist. The only difference is you might be seeing if you're a candidate for exploratory testing or surgery that still doesn't address the underlying problem. You've heard this before. You just have to live with it. Nothing else can be done. I'm here to tell you that this is absolutely not true. Once you start addressing the underlying cause of the condition and fixing it, the body knows exactly how to repair itself and start enjoying life again. There are doctors across the country that help people with thyroid problems, leaky gut, and metabolic conditions. You are in good hands with the practitioner that's offering you this solution. We can either correct the underlying problem or keep following the downward cycle of altering our labs with medications. We restore gut integrity and health and healing from the inside out. We take a comprehensive approach to treating thyroid symptoms and gut health, and feel strongly that the best outcomes are a result of addressing the body as a whole. A critical and unique part of our treatment plan involves a series of comprehensive stages that put the body back into an optimal position to heal itself. The body knows exactly how to heal itself. Sometimes it just needs a little help. We go out and look for the newest cutting-edge technology and research to treat gut health. We found that if you attack thyroid health from every angle and leave no stone unturned, that 90 to 95% of our patients get results and feel better. So let's dig into our plan. Thyroid conditions require attention to all areas of lifestyle. Fortunately, we have a 4-part lifestyle regimen that has shown great results for our patients. Each and every part of the regimen is equally important to reach complete healing. Let's start with our Trust Your Gut lifestyle regimen. Phase 1 will be the extinguish and seal phase. When we talk about healing the gut and restoring the microbiome, we like to use the example of rebuilding a house that was once caught on fire. When a house is on fire, you don't think about calling a carpenter right away. The very first thing that's on your mind is getting in touch with the fire department. Same thing with us. Our house protects our external bodies, just like the microbiome is the house that protects the microbes in our internal body. This is the first phase to stopping your body from working against the function of your thyroid. Just as if a home is on fire, the first thing we need to do is extinguish the flames and wet down some of the other areas of the house so it will be harder for the fire to spread. So we must extinguish the things that are causing the fires in our gut, which are possible parasites, candida, and food sensitivities. Then we need to seal any gaps that may have developed in our gut lining. The way we go about doing this is removing the food sensitivities by implementing a specific food guidance program tailored to your condition. This will help certain food sensitivities and intolerances our bodies may be experiencing get under control. So during the extinguish phase, we'll guide you through a process to reducing candida. We've learned earlier about the importance of reducing candida. By providing you with a much-needed assistant against the gut pathogens, like candida, we'll help you with your sugar cravings and put an end to the candida feeding frenzy. We'll provide protocols to support a healthy intestinal microbial environment and safely eliminate parasites. In addition, we'll provide support for a healthy intestinal lining and optimal gastrointestinal function. We now know that a healthy intestinal lining is essential for thyroid function, digestion, liver function, immune function, and overall health. Phase 2 will be clearing of debris. Like we mentioned earlier, these things that we just extinguished will block nutrient absorption. So that's why in our program, we focus on removing what robs nutrient absorption and begin to seal your gut lining before detoxifying and clearing the debris. This will allow the body to start balancing out, start to take stress off the body and off the thyroid. So back to our burning house example. After the fire is extinguished and the area is sealed, we call upon help to remove the debris from the fire scene, which leads us to our second phase of restoring gut health, cleaning debris. In order to do this properly, the inflammation, i.e. fire, has to be controlled. Once the environment of the gut is controlled, it's time to clear out the excess debris. No, this doesn't mean running to the bathroom constantly, just a gentle cleanse at the blood and cellular level, allowing your body to start functioning at a higher level and set up an environment for your thyroid to convert inactive hormones to activate properly. Also in our second phase of restoring gut health, in conjunction with a modified elimination lifestyle diet, we address gastrointestinal and liver function, as well as cytokine metabolism, which helps with inflammation. We also use antioxidants, minerals, and nutrients designed to support a healthy response to environmental toxins, especially heavy metal toxicity. This will support the metabolism and detoxification of heavy metals. We want to make sure we detox any invasions that can further damage the gut. To further support the digestive system, we set the body up to be able to kill viral or bacterial microorganisms that cause disease, helping boost the immune system, regenerate and heal cells, and start to resolve leaky gut and any autoimmune responses. Last but not least, since the gut lining has been damaged for quite some time and is now sealed, the blood must be cleansed. With our preparatory process, we can help bind toxins and metals and pull them out of the body safely. The reason most people do not do well on detoxification programs is because their gut hasn't been sealed, and they don't have a good binding agent to pull foreign invaders out of the body. So by detoxifying the body, cleansing the blood and cells, we improve blood flow and circulation. Now, I know this might sound complicated, but it's all happening synergistically together with a few simple changes and additions. Now that we extinguished what was blocking nutrient absorption, sealed your gut lining, and cleared the debris from the aftermath, it's time to implement phase 3 of the gut healing program. We call it the rebuilding phase. Going back to our house example once more, now that we've extinguished the fire and sealed the area, as well as removed the debris, now it's time to call in the carpenters to rebuild. We've gotten the parasites, candida, and food sensitivities at bay while sealing the gut in our extinguish and seal phase. We've removed bacterial and viral pathogens, microbes, and heavy metals with our clearing debris phase. Now it's time to rebuild the microbiome. The rebuilding phase will be when your body starts functioning at new levels. A lot of the symptoms and life situations you've been dealing with will start to dissipate. We first reintroduce the balance of a healthy digestive tract by addressing its acidifying factors and balancing hydrochloric acids and providing the body with proteolytic enzymes. Hydrochloric acid and glutamic acid are necessary for the adequate absorption of proteins, calcium, B vitamins, and iron. Then we reintroduce the little carpenters that are found in our proprietary formula, which provides beneficial bacteria, including the extensively studied HBN019 strand of Bifidobacterium lactis. These live organisms have proven health benefits and have been tested for epithelial adherence and resistance to lower pH. In other words, many of the probiotics available out there do not even make it past the acidic environment of the stomach. And if they do, they may not even stick to the lining of the large intestine, which is where they're most beneficial. However, with our formulas, we're making sure that the beneficial bacteria get to all the right places. And last, but certainly not least, we use our immune formula, which helps modulate a normal immune response by using proline-rich polypeptides, also known as PRPs. This helps the immune system by supporting the production of IgG antibodies. Throughout our lives, we help shape our own microbiomes, and they adapt to the changes in our environment. The foods we eat, how much we sleep, the amount of stress on our bodies, the amount of bacteria you're exposed to on a daily basis, and the level of stress you have will ultimately determine the state of your microbiome. By addressing our gut microbial health, we're able to reboot our thyroid and ultimately address the autoimmune response that is so dangerous to our health. Correcting thyroid health factors requires a comprehensive approach. It cannot be done with a medication. These clinical processes often include phases 1 through 3, allowing the clear out of leaky gut and autoimmunity, along with our fourth variable, our online lifestyle guidance on exercise, stress management, nutrition, and our online communication system. They always say that knowledge is power. We live in a day and age where there's an abundance of information for you to read, but at the same time, our communities are getting sicker and sicker. Knowledge is only powerful if you choose to use it and implement it into your life. So, who should come to see us? These are the types of patients we work with. If you are experiencing hormonal imbalances, such as mood swings, low libido, infertility, weight gain, trouble sleeping, and hair loss, digestive issues, such as gas, bloating, indigestion, heartburn, acid reflux, diarrhea, constipation, irritable bowel syndrome, IBS, Crohn's or ulcerative colitis. If you have brain or cognitive issues, such as depression, anxiety, poor concentration, memory loss, decrease in sense of humor, and indecisiveness, or if you have an overt thyroid condition, Graves' disease, Hashimoto's thyroiditis, hyper or hypothyroidism, you should come to see us. We are looking for two types of patients that we accept into our program. Type 1 is people who are all in with their health. They value health. They want to live longer to be with their family. They want to be productive. They value life performance, and they want to thrive in life and health overall. Type 2 are exactly the same as patient type 1, but maybe they fall off the wagon here and there. And that's okay because our team is here to help you get back on track. We are extremely confident and competent in what we do. We don't take recommendations from outside sources. We do our own research, and we're looking for people who want to make that commitment to their health. You're going to have to meet us more than halfway because this is your health. It's your body. We have the programs to help you get better, and we will be there along the way to support you. As long as you are truly committed, you can expect results. Here's why waiting and dealing with this later is not the best decision. Loss of thyroid function and not addressing the root cause will make it get worse over time. So, what can you expect if you come to see us? Our process is simple. First, you'll fill out a patient application prior to your visit with the doctor. Once the doctor meets with you, goes over your health history and evaluation, the doctors will sit down with you and talk about if you're a good candidate for our program. Since you have been pre-educated with our seminar, you've actually saved a lot of time in this process. You're qualified for our reduced price evaluation. At this point, insurance questions sometimes come up. And as we explained earlier, insurance is there for acute care, which is medications and surgeries. Your chronic condition does not need acute care for full recovery. Metabolic disease is a silent process. Symptoms slowly creep into your life, gradually getting worse over time, until you realize one day that you have multiple symptoms you're struggling with. You might be at the beginning of that process or at the end. The final question we'd like to ask you to reflect on is, what is your motivation? Why do you want to be healthy? Is it to be able to play with your kids? To have the energy you once had? To have a great relationship with your spouse? To be a better mom? To be a better employee? Or just have the ability to live healthfully? We sometimes like making health complicated, but we really only have two directions we can go. No matter where you're at, it's never too late to improve your health or well-being. This next video really describes two clear paths for your health. It's a perfect description of where life can go. We are here for you. You're in great hands with the practitioners who are using this program. It would be silly not to take advantage of our evaluation process to see if we can help you.
What will your last 10 years look like? Will you be quick enough for a game of tag with your grandchild? Strong enough to embrace every moment? Will you grow old with vitality? Or get old with disease? It's time to decide.